that's another thought. Like these small towns have a lot of singer-songwriters like yourselves camped out in them.
For real.
Maybe the people might want to hear a punk band. You never know.
Yeah, mix it up.
You never know. And Three Finger Betty's done it a couple times where we ventured to smaller towns, and the pay is generally very good because they don't have much entertainment there, and that's. If there is entertainment, that's where people are going, and even if there's not, people are still going to that place because there's not much else going on in the town.
They were going to go down there and drink anyway.
Yeah, so it ends up being a very good, a very good thing. So if there are bands that are like, I want to try doing, the thing Clint's doing where he hits up local venues and plays in these smaller towns, you never know. Hit them up. Yep. Send them your social media links. Send them music videos, send them everything you got.
Back in the day, it was just, back in the day, like 5 years ago when I started doing this, I would seriously just look for neons and carry my guitar in and be like, is anyone in charge of like entertainment around here? Or can I speak to the manager? That was always the easiest way because you're right there and you're like, you can't place the phone call and be like, I hope they get back to me. It's like,
oh, yeah.
Would you like to reject me to my face right now? Or, are we booking a gig? Because
that actually does, it's not like you're putting the heat on them, but you kind of are. And it's also like, like I said, if you send them, here's my Spotify links and here's a couple cell phone videos on YouTube, like it only does so much justice. But if you're there in front of them, you're like, oh, this is actually pretty darn good,
Yeah, for real. They can actually feel that. It just like watching a live stream, like you can feel it and be like, this guy, he might sell us some beer, know?
Yeah. Plus, you could email your links out to everyone all day long. How do you know who's clicking on them,
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways to track link clicks and all this other stuff, which is pretty cool. I mean, I've done a little bit of that back in the day.
I'm horrible with my email. Like, I'll check it every 4 months, and then
so Facebook is the way to get a hold of Clint.
Texting works, yeah.
Yep, Facebook and texting. So,
or just come down to the jam, hang out.
Yeah, and that's another. I met a lot of people at jams that I actually haven't seen too much anywhere else, which is one of the other fun things where you're like, oh, these people aren't in bands, so I don't ever get the chance to see them, but they just showed up at this thing, and here they are, and it's, I've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast. Not on this episode, maybe, but like the scene up here is just so much fun to hang out in. And I think it's one of the reasons I don't clown around too much in the other scenes. Maybe it's because the other scenes are so much bigger. Like in Des Moines, there is everything in Des Moines. There's rap music, there's techno, there's electronic stuff, there's people making indie rock of like the widest berth you can imagine. I mean, it's insane. Blues, punk, rock, metal, there's everything's down. There's every kind of singer-songwriter you can imagine. So it's probably tough for 5, 6, 7, 800 people to support each other when you really don't know everybody in the scene. But up here, we all at least...
Yeah, there's only like, maybe 20 of us that I can list right offhand where we're all just like, if you're walking around, like that old joke, like you kill one goat, you walk around, they're like, hey, goat killer, but you build a million bridges and they're not like, hey, bridge builder,
Yeah,
But yeah, so when we're walking around, they're like, he's a musician, like,